When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel.
Well, excuse me!
Looking for good ideas for life? You're far from good hands.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
If you think the listener is always right, you're far from the right place.
Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works!
Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, but a rebel by choice.
Are you threatening me?
If you want a host that floats between love and madness,
and we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite, looking forward to a little afternoon delight.
then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
All right, guys, listen, this is the blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
Warning, creators of this game do understand the subject matter may be offensive to some, but they do honor the families and people that have been affected by these real-life tragedies that these individuals have caused. Want to play a game?
Oh, yeah!
Lover of true crime?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, we got an interesting game for you to check out.
Wow.
With the mashup of influences such as horror movies, collecting cards, and RPGs.
What?
Led to giving birth to an incredible creation of this game, Killers, the card game.
You are all my children now.
This game is a collectible trading card game featuring some of the most infamous killers, with tidbits of trivia on the back of each card to help you learn some insight to each criminal.
Who the hell are you?
Let's not forget, during the game, cops will be chasing you and these criminals.
I'm a cop, you idiot!
However, check out their website listed through all social media today, which can be found under Killers, the card game.
Am I on the internet?
I want to play a game.
Hey, I'm Casey Hartnett from Terrifier 2, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm actually happy to speak with this one, not only because the little pale girl said I would love Casey, but I was excited because of the obvious reason for probably going to be one of the most iconic murder scenes in modern horror, and that being, as you know, Terrifier 2. But there's a lot I can dive into, and if the one thing that I read on the infamous internet is true, I'm kind of jealous, but we'll get into that. The guest, Miss Casey Hartnett. Casey, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
All right. Well, I'll get it out of the way, because I was telling another, and hopefully you'll become one, but I was telling a actress friend of the show who's involved with several different franchises, but one being the Rob Zombie's Halloween. She speaks, and I say I was jealous because she speaks 4 different languages.
Got
And I always appreciated her smarts in that aspect. She's a great person all around, but I always appreciate. We were having drinks at a convention one night at the VIP party. It's like, damn, I'm jealous. So long-winded story. I read, or you may speak a little French. Is that true?
Oui, je peux parler français.
For the dummies like me, the answer is yes.
Yes.
But where did you learn that? In Christina's case, she came up from parents that were from other countries and everything else like that. And so we're in a bilingual household, or where?
No, actually. Well, I mean, I wasn't in a bilingual household, but my family moved to Paris when I was 2 for my dad's job. So I kind of got acquainted with the language at a very young age. So I am still learning the language because I didn't speak it consistently growing up. But I started really getting acquainted with it when I was 2 in France. And then when we moved back to the States, I took classes in school from 4th grade on. So I was, speaking it in school, trying to speak it consistently at school. But I think because I started learning it at a young age that I just gained kind of an ear for it, But I don't know, because my parents are not like fluent. I don't really consider myself fluent. I'm more conversational. I'm trying to work on becoming more fluent in French, but my parents are not fluent at all. They just lived there for a year and know some French, but they're not like, we don't speak it at home. So
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So again, with everything on the internet, and yes, folks, we will get to Terrifier shortly, but there's more, as I like to say, there's more layers to the onion than just one small snippet. And that's what we like to do here on this particular show. And anyway, I was reading, acting like I know how to anyway. It was a big picture book online, but I saw 2 things. You grew up a big horror fan and love Halloween, which is ironic because the movie came out there. But also, you have time to celebrate now because as we speak, it's December 5th, and your birthday is in December. So,
true.
Would you say from October on is a very good, exciting period for you?
Yeah, I mean, I do, of course, love Halloween, and I have a lot of family members who have birthdays in October, and then some friends as well. I know 3 people, including my brother, who have birthdays on October 30th. I have another friend whose birthday is October 31st. And then my other family members have some October birthdays. And then, of course, the holidays, we're in the holiday mood after that. Thanksgiving, my birthday. I'm very adamant about making time to celebrate my birthday before celebrating holiday things.
Okay.
In December, I'm like, there has to be a moment. Like sometimes I'll combine it. Like I love Christmas lights and things like that. But sometimes I'm like, this is a birthday thing, but it happens to be around the holidays where we get lots of nice, pretty lights at the same time. So yeah, I do like the fall.
Well, with that being said, as far as taking time out for yourself to celebrate your birthday, whatever, with the lights and stuff, is there anything else you like to do to, whether it's a theater thing or get a massage or is there something that you like to do, whether it be entertainment or for your both physical, mental health, whatever the case is, that you like to do to take a moment to, because we don't all do that a lot of the time. So
That's true. It's true. We don't. I would say for me, my favorite thing, I love cafes for some reason, and I love going and just having like a croissant or a cappuccino at a cafe, just having an easy morning, and then maybe from there going to a museum or something. Or I do love going to plays, so that's also something that I've done on, just for myself. But museums, theater, I love all of that. And I love just having a nice, easy cafe moment as well.
Let me ask this with that. And like a lot of the folks from the movie, I know are based in the New York area. So would you be the same based in New York where there's a lot of cafes, a lot of theater, a lot of different things like that?
Yeah, well, yes, but I'm also from Chicago. So
you have a little bit of that.
Yeah. So in Chicago also has all of that as well. So I'm sort of Chicago and New York, and those two cities are the cities that I know the best.
And
really. Yeah.
Now that you say that, and I'm paying attention, you got the image of the iconic bridge from Chicago behind you.
That's true. That's true.
Because we're taping this on video, folks. So as she said that, I go, oh, I know that image behind her.
Yeah,
so.
That is the Chicago River. Yes.
And I'm sure most folks know St. Patty's Day, they might try to dye the water green, and that's a whole nother story for another time.
True. Chicago's a cool place for St. Patty's Day. It can be cold though.
Yes. And we're starting a field here in a little bit in the Northeast.
Are you? Yeah.
Trust me, I had to go pick up a package from UPS today. I was like, ooh, bitter cold this morning. So
it's that time.
yeah, go figure, December. But
yep.
You mentioned some birthdays in October and stuff like that. So like brother and other people is that where the fascination for ghosts and liking being scared come from?
I don't think so. I think it's just, I have always just sort of liked being thrilled and have liked adrenaline rushes. And
she makes movies at a young age too, but that's, go ahead.
I did. I've been writing since I was a kid, but I think that it just comes from wherever. I don't really know where that comes from, where I'm just like, I love being thrilled and excited. Like I went on, roller coasters from a young age and loved roller coasters, still love roller coasters, and then love being scared. I love challenging things to scare me, like horror movies and haunted houses. I will I challenge it. I need a really good haunted house.
Well, have you ever been to, because you say that, sorry, I had a co-host who it happens to be a dentist from time to time. Emailing me. I said, I gotta come in. But thing is, he's in California, and I said I gotta come see you to fix a tooth. So
I see.
Yeah. But
that's a good friend.
Good friend to have. It's funny how we get older. It's not so much the cool kids. It's the we make friends with lawyers and doctors and dentists.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah.
But that's here and there. That's another conversation, like I said, for another day. But I know you studied film in college, and also you've done theater work as well. Then recently you've done Terrifier 2, which I'm working my way to, folks. Relax. I know I'll get a message or an email and all that fun stuff, but so what is the biggest difference you would say that you've noticed? Because obviously you can only speak from your perspective, obviously, that theater where you got to project and everything else like that to working a camera, say like what we're on now.
Yeah. I mean, I will say as an actor, when you're doing a play, not a musical, if you're doing like a play versus a film, I don't particularly think there is an insane amount of difference as an actor. I think that as long as you're putting your full, you're fully present and putting everything into that as that role as truthfully as possible. I do say that when it comes to projection and volume, that is probably one of the differences with theater versus film, because in film you are able to play more with the volume of your voice a bit and still be heard. But that is probably the biggest difference. But I think in the general performance as an actor, as long as the emotional truth is there, the performance will be honest and believable and, do the story justice. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like doing something like the scene from Terrifier that we will talk about, that doing something like that feels more theatrical because it's so big. But you have to still find the ways to put that on, but it's still a different type of performance on film because you're not doing it consistently throughout the whole 3 minutes or however long it was. But yeah, I feel like that it's, just because that was such a big moment. So sometimes I'm like, it's not insanely different, but there are small differences. Technical differences, I think. I think it's more technical than craft as an actor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and taking the script from the page to whatever medium you're working with.
Right.
And like I said, I actually just released my chat with Emily. Excuse me, I know I butchered Little Pale Girl. She was such a sweetheart. And
yes.
I mentioned that I was going to be talking to you today.
Aww.
And when we taped on Thursday or Friday, whatever it was last week. And she had nothing but lovely things to say about everybody, but you and Lauren and everybody seemed to take her under their wing. So
yeah.
What was that
She's
like?
Very sweet.
Yeah. Very good kid. And you could tell I'm a gut thing person,
Yeah.
from the Northeast kind of thing. You probably are familiar with it, but I got good vibes on her.
Totally.
And I mean that appropriately before I get messages on that, folks. But yeah, there was just, you could tell she's got a good head on her shoulders for 13. So
I think so. I agree. Yeah.
So, hope things go well for her just as much as anybody else. But
of course, yeah.
It helps that having a good head on her shoulders and everybody looking out for her too, mom and dad and everything else. But for you, were you not aware of the first film or the shorts or anything like that before you auditioned for the role?
In all honesty, I was not. I hadn't seen the movies, and I hadn't apparently scrolled far enough on Netflix, because I have friends who had seen it and found it on Netflix, and that's how they watched it. And apparently I was just completely in my own little bubble of Netflix, whatever I was watching. But yeah, I hadn't seen it. So I had no idea what to expect when I was auditioning, really. I had like a little bit of an idea because I do my research about everything I audition for. And I had watched the trailer at that point. But when I submitted for it, I was like, all right, let's see how this goes.
Exactly. And out of the group, I would say I've known David the longest.
Okay.
But obviously Damien's cool. Just recently got a chance to meet Lauren and everything else, and everybody I've dealt with dealt with Jenna and Catherine from the first film, both lovely ladies as well. We did a watch along of the first one back in the summer.
Nice.
And what were your vibes with the audition and obviously getting to meet Damien and just going through the whole process of, okay, here's the script, and what was your vibes when you first got deep into the waters here?
While I was auditioning or after I booked it, or
Well,
both?
auditioning and then getting into taking a job.
Yeah, so I will say I really liked the scripts, the scenes that I was auditioning for with this, what I had read of the script. I really liked it and it was fun. And, it was obvious. It was like scenes with Sienna, of course, well, obviously, but it was, yeah, what I had read of the script I really liked. And then I did an in-person chemistry read with Lauren and was given the trick-or-treating scene as a cold read, and I sort of dove into that. And then I knew it was a horror film, so he had me do a screaming scene as well. And so, but it felt, good. I don't know, the vibe, like the energy was good. I felt like it was, obviously I knew it was an independent film, but it didn't feel like I was excited for it, I was like, I had a good feeling the whole time I was auditioning, and I don't know, that was sort of a very strange thing where it was like my friend was just like, I think you're gonna book this, and I was like, I don't know, you never know with these things, but there's just some sort of energy the whole time where even like my friend was just like, I don't like to jinx things, but my friend was just like, I really think you're going to be in the next Terrifier movie. And from there, once I booked it, and the first thing I did was I had to like take a bus to New Jersey to do a live cast of my whole body for the replica of Allie. And that was the first time I had met Phil, who's one of the producers, the executive producer of the film, who was helping Damien with a lot of the effects. And it was funny, like going to someone's house in New Jersey, but I never felt sketched out. Like, I was like, this is fine, because like sometimes you do an indie film and you're like, where am I going? What's happening? But I don't know, just the whole energy, they knew what they were doing, and Damien is so talented. And I saw that right from the beginning, how talented he was with this stuff, with the practical effects. And so I was just, and then my first day on set was at the school, and it was just a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, it was I could tell that everyone was very kind. And I mean, a lot of the people had known each other from the first movie. So, like the crew, of course. So, that it just felt, the vibes were all very comfortable and family feeling. It really felt like a family the whole time.
Now, you just brought up something in telling that story about the making the cast of your body and such for the infamous death scene. And I'm curious to know, and didn't have time to ask Damien because it was a press junket for 15, 20 minutes where we could go in depth for it. But would you, when they said, all right, we're going to do this mold, you're going to go to, in this case, a house in Jersey, unfortunately, do they tell you in prepping? Obviously, you're not going to go all dialed up and, the prettiest of outfits and whatever the case is. But did they tell you? Because I don't know. I've seen process little clippings and behind the scenes stuff and all, but do they tell you, hey, don't wear certain perfumes, don't do lotions, or watch your deodorant, or watch it? Yeah, I mean, just
think so.
do's and don'ts on what to have on you.
Right. Yes. So, I'm honestly trying to remember what exactly that was, but I think lotion is probably one of them. And I mean, of course, when he was applying certain prosthetics, like we didn't have makeup on that part of my face. And I have a feeling he had said something about like lotions and deodorant. I'm like trying to remember now. It was so long ago.
No,
But
yeah.
but there are definitely things that you have to be cautious of so
Yeah,
that the prosthetic sticks
yeah.
properly.
And they get the
Yeah.
proper mold and stuff, you know. I
Of
figured there
course.
would be, so.
Yep.
Well, obviously, everybody heard the organic stories online of people passing out in the theater and getting sick and all that
Right.
fun stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet it had to do with your death scene.
It's very possible.
Just a guess here, but
Yeah.
I never claimed to be the smartest person in the room. But what was that like for you doing such a gnarly and graphic scene? Because it's I mentioned this, like I said, in the interview last week with your co-star and all, and I mentioned Damien and a few other people privately too. It's I always think of the line that writer director Adam Marcus told me in our conversation and also in a few watch-alongs we've done with him. There's logic that we would use in our everyday life. Then there's movie logic. And obviously, I could spoil it here at this point, folks. It's been streaming, the theaters, all that fun stuff. But when you watch your death scene, I'm going, on one side of it, how in the hell is this girl still alive? Then the line that Adam obviously said, movie logic, dummy, was kicking in my head. Oh, okay. Yeah. And it's art and whatever. So, what was that overall process like for you? Because obviously, you talked about having the prosthetics made of you and everything to be able to shoot that, but there's also an emotional side to things because you're screaming, you're getting abused, and just everything that goes on in that scene. What about the mental side of things? Because
right.
Hey, I'm being attacked, I'm this, that, the other.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a good question, and just acting can be it's because it's so internal, and so intuitive. It can sometimes be difficult to explain. So hopefully this makes sense. But I mean, for me, it's just pure like shock and horror in those moments, and like screaming and trying to get away desperately. And so, I mean, it can be very like mentally and emotionally exhausting, of course. And I think I don't know. I mean, I think like obviously you're going to this dark place of like, oh my God, I'm being killed and I need to get away. But it's one of those things that you don't have time as a human, if you're in that situation, to mentally prepare for that or to process it at all.
Fight or flight.
Right, exactly. So it's sort of like that's how I treated that scene, was like, we just have to go in. Like we're just going in and we're doing it. Because and a lot of times that's what I do, like with any sort of emotional prep for a scene in general. It's you do the preparation and then you show up, you've done the preparation, you kind of drop into the scene and kind of let it all go and see what happens. And so I didn't want to think about it too much. And I was like, let's just dive right in and just go for it, because she doesn't have time to think about it. She doesn't have time to process it. So that was kind of wild in a way, just a lot of screaming and a lot of just desperately trying to get away and in those moments. So that's sort of how I really treated it. And I think by the time we got to the part where I'm crawling on the floor, I actually think I tried two things with that. And I think the first thing that I tried was I really did try to be like really I was really upset in my mind. But then I was also like, but you're also in survival mode right now, and you're crawling to your phone and, you know, whatnot. So that moment for me, I don't know. I will say the most emotional moment for me though was when he was chasing me up the stairs. When we were doing that, I got really emotional. But yeah, but then the other moments were just really a lot of screaming.
And I'm sure
So,
I know obviously this wasn't filmed in one day.
right.
Yeah, with all the makeup and just everything that goes with it. But
Mhm.
you must have found yourself at the end of each shoot just mentally and physically exhausted. Like you said, the screaming
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
physicality and the screaming and just everything that goes with it.
Yeah. I mean, it is exhausting. But I think, I don't know, for some reason when it's acting and I think it was exhausting, but it's also thrilling at the same time. So it's sort of this bizarre, like, because after I do something like that, and then I go back to reality, because, you know, I obviously go in and out of it, but I'm almost more energized because it's like, oh my God, I just did that.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to if I had been bawling my eyes out, that exhausts me more. So usually after I do a giant crying scene, I need a nap. But
Okay.
after the screaming and the like all of the adrenaline for this particular scene, it was like I was exhausted, but I also was like, I need to like I was kind of awake at the same time.
And now from the mental side of things, and like
Mhm.
you said, there's people in the acting game or whatever react differently. Like you said, the crying scenes and stuff like that wear you out more and you need to nap and whatnot. And with this
Mhm.
scene, you had more energy. So at the end of the day, when they say cut, how would you say you bring yourself back to center? Now, can I, before you answer that, can I tell you the vibe I get from you?
Mhm. Sure.
Okay. And I could be right, could be wrong. I'm usually pretty good with this stuff, but I would like to think that they call cut, get rid of the makeup and all that stuff, prosthetics, all that stuff. And obviously, I know you guys were all together because of COVID restrictions and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I get the vibe that it was okay. I'm gonna go get a shower, get cleaned up after a day's worth of work. Then I'm gonna go get a glass of wine and something to eat, and just try to come back to myself and be solo, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
Does
does
that
make
seem
sense.
does that seem like something that you would normally do? Okay, I'm gonna get cleaned up. I'm gonna glass of wine, something to eat, and try to be
Um,
Casey.
of course. It is something I do. But in this case, to be perfectly honest with you, like there are several, like we were all also joking around on set all the time because it's just a fun group of people. And so
Yeah,
most of the time when we would call cut, first of all, it was really cold. So usually I would like go and like huddle in front of a heater before they had to turn it off again. And then, but honestly, sometimes when they would call cut, I was tired and cold. So I would put all my clothes, like I would put my coat on, like put everything on and like get out of there as quickly as possible to go warm up. And, um, but at the same time, like the prosthetics took so long to get off. So sometimes it was me just dancing around with the prosthetics like still on. Like there's a video of me with the arm dangling. Um, and I will say that I do kind of like to socialize after, like immediately after a scene to kind of snap back into reality a bit. So I actually do like to socialize. But then I also like to, but after that, I like to be alone.
yeah.
So it's sort of like, okay, we socialized, here we are, everything's fine. This is, this is great. And I do think it helps take my mind off of it for sure. But then, yeah, I do also like to really separate myself from it. And yeah, a glass of wine is pretty accurate, but no, but I mean, like, that is a good, like, yeah, after that, I do like to spend some alone time for sure.
Yeah, just to get to that
Mhm.
even keel kind of,
Yeah. Hmm. Just
and
to relax though, also
hit,
just to like be,
power down, hit that reset button, just to,
Mhm.
because we know we're gonna go and do it tomorrow.
Exactly.
Especially with what you
Yep.
were doing and
Hmm.
accomplishing, we gotta be able to have that energy to come back tomorrow with that. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
well, if you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie. I actually already pre-ordered my copy of the Blu-ray, which is
Uh-huh.
cool. So, because
Yay.
I am a fan at heart. I got cabinet
Yeah.
full of movies, and it's scary. Like,
Love that.
yeah, I'm a movie and the cabinets of books. I got to get another two
Hmm.
bookshelves because I get books all the time to read for the show and such. So,
Uh-huh. Yep.
being a yeah,
That's
it's
amazing. I love books, so I have way more books than I've even been able to read. So
yeah, it's
I get it.
yeah. I got so much here that I got to catch up on reading. It's just a matter of doing so. And
Hmm.
I killed my camera as I did that, but not that it's a big deal. But obviously, being a horror fan and such,
Yeah.
and very well read with movies and everything else that you are. Obviously, there was a great response and anticipation for part two from
Hmm.
the fan base and everything else. And obviously, COVID held things up. Do
Right.
you think the anticipation for the film actually lived up to the finished product?
I think so. Um, yeah, I really do. I mean, honestly, if we didn't have the pandemic and if we didn't have that much time, Allie's kill scene would have been fairly different.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Would have been very different. Um, it still would have been crazy, but it just would have been very different.
Yeah, I've heard
Um,
Damien say that.
uh-huh. Yeah, and so I think that there are quite a few things that really benefited from having that extra time,
Mhm.
so that Damien could really work through that. So I do think that the anticipation was met with um, a good product.
Yeah,
I hope, but I think so.
because obviously with the first film, and I joke about it with the obviously the hacksaw scene, and it's like
Hmm.
I make the joke. It's like, yeah, it might not be a good doctor's appointment to go to. You see somebody coming in with a saw. This might not be, but
Mm-mm.
yeah, that's
No
that.
way.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we can go whatever. It's seven different
Yeah.
directions with that and that. Damien, you sick and twisted bastard. I hate to see what you come up with three, but I tease.
Yeah.
I know my phone's gonna ring soon as he hears it, but no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna
But
be
that's sick.
wild.
Yeah, there's gonna be something that's that sick and twisted mentality is gonna certainly be
Hmm.
created in three and possibly four, the way he talks about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, go see the movie, folks, if you get an opportunity. But obviously, as we started this out with, we're getting into the holidays, your birthday's coming up, just everything
Hmm.
that's going on as we sit here on December 5th.
Yep.
When we get back to work, what is next for Casey?
Yeah. Great question. I am still sort of figuring that out. There are a few projects that are in the early phases right now. So hoping that I'll have more information and more news about that next year. There's a project I'm involved with that we're trying to get produced right now. in 2023. So fingers crossed for that. I'm writing a couple of things, so we'll see where those go. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of where I'm at right now. We'll see what happens from here on out. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see where all that goes.
Well, since you said that, now I'll make this my last question. Which form of outlet do you like to do? Because obviously I knew this before we got into this, that you've done producing, you've done writing, obviously you've done stuff as a performer. Is there a certain outlet you enjoy more out of those big three?
Yeah. I really do think that I enjoy acting the most. I love writing. Producing is more the business side, so that to me it's hard. You know, producing is hard. Of course, everything is not easy, but yeah, I would say acting. Whenever I'm working on the production side of things, I always am craving. I'm like, oh, I want to. Okay, next thing I have to act. So I do crave acting more so than I crave the others. But writing is very cathartic for me. So I love writing for that reason, and it's also something that I can do at any time for myself. So that's always nice. But yeah, acting is always, there's something about physically diving in and just unapologetically letting yourself feel all the emotions. There's something really special about that.
I'll have to send you the link, because as you're describing that, and made me think of a speech that Dwayne Johnson gave to the LA Lakers. It's floated around there, but I'll send you the actual link of it, because he talked, and during this speech I think doing all three makes you a triple threat. Being able to produce makes you shrewd in a good way. You know,
it's hard.
the acting and the writing, but it gives you a thing to always work. But anyway, the reason I reference in this video is he talks about his back always being up against this, even though he's been successful. His back is always against the wall, so he can only go forward. And I thought, as you were saying that makes you a better performer, or a better writer, or better person on production, whatever angle you're working, because you understand the other two processes to make full circle. And that's why I was thinking of that video, just the way he describes it. And I'll send you the link to that YouTube video. It was pretty entertaining. So, but it's good to hear. Yeah, it's educational too. So,
I no, absolutely, I agree with that. And also, some of the most talented directors are also cinematographers, you know, and also, of course, writers and producers. So, I mean, I feel like there are so many. It is so beneficial to know more aspects and more parts of the job, for sure, and just to be aware of that. So then you know what everyone on set is doing, also, and you're more aware of that.
Yeah, it makes you better at your game.
I think so. Yeah, but you learn that as you go, of course. So, yeah, for anyone who's like intimidated by that, like the more you're on set, the more you'll learn what everyone else is doing.
Exactly. So obviously, happy holidays, happy birthday.
Too. Thank you.
Your birthday's the 19th, correct?
Yes.
So,
yes.
So you were a Christmas baby for mom and dad, which is
I was. Yeah, right before Christmas. And I have a cousin born on the 26th, right after. So
absolutely.
It's a good time.
Well, I hope you enjoy everything, and hope to talk to you again soon.
You too. Thank you so much. This has been great.
Hey there, Friday fans. We know how much you enjoy the movies. Enjoy grabbing your Friday merchandise and interacting with the Friday family, whether it be at conventions or during our particular watch-alongs. Well, when you're looking to get yourself masks, why not check out our friends over at Camp Blood Customs out of New York State and order your specific custom mask from any of the films. All orders are made specifically. Your needs and wants are. Make sure you find Camp Blood Customs on Facebook, Instagram, and all over social media and order yours today.
Hey guys, Damian Leone, writer-director of Terrifier 2. You're listening to Crazy Train Radio.